He threw my plate on the floor and shouted that I was just his babysitter, not his mother. And the worst part, I believed him. For a moment. My name is Joan Keller. I'm 69 years old, retired, and I've been alone most of my life, except for my son, Ethan. When my husband died in a mining accident, Ethan was just 4. And from that day on, I made a promise to myself. He will never feel the weight of that loss the way I do. I worked days as a hospital receptionist and cleaned motel rooms at night. I missed sleep, meals, and every personal dream I ever had. But I didn't mind. Ethan was my world, and that was enough. 5 years ago, he wanted to buy his dream condo in the city, but his loan was denied. Bad credit, student loans, some debt from a failed business. I didn't hesitate. I signed my name as a co-borrower on the mortgage. They told me, "You realize if he defaults, the bank can come after your home." I smiled. He's my son. He won't. I've never told anyone that. Not even my best friend. I didn't do it for praise or gratitude. I did it because that's what mothers do. Real mothers. Anyway, and I never once reminded Ethan. Not when he got the keys. Not when he started decorating the place like it was his castle. I was just happy to see him smile. I told myself that was my reward. Now I live alone in a small house I've had for decades. Old floors, cracked tiles in the bathroom. But it's paid off. It's safe. And honestly, I thought Ethan would always see it, and me, as his foundation, his home. I was wrong. I never imagined the moment would come when he'd look me in the eye, in front of strangers, and deny every piece of me I gave to him. But that night is burned into me now. The night my son shattered more than a plate. He shattered me. I still remember the sound of the porcelain hitting the floor. The silence that followed was louder than the shatter. It was Ethan's girlfriend's birthday party. He'd invited over 20 people. Friends from work, her Pilates instructor, even a guy who once sold him a used car. Everyone was drinking wine out of tall glasses and talking about real estate investments and weekend getaways. I mostly stayed in the kitchen, out of the way, setting out the food I had cooked all morning. His favorite, lemon chicken. And then she said it. His girlfriend laughed and told everyone. Ethan says he basically raised himself. I froze. My heart stopped. I looked at him. He didn't correct her. He didn't even blink. Instead, he smirked and said, "Yeah. I mean, I had a babysitter, but that's not the same." I stood there, holding a plate. I didn't say a word. I couldn't. One of the guests asked, jokingly, "Wait, wasn't that your mom?" That's when he turned to me, eyes narrowed like I was a problem to be solved, and snapped, "You were just there. You kept the lights on, made sure I didn't starve. That's not raising someone. That's babysitting." Then he took the plate from my hand, the one I'd just served him, and slammed it onto the tile. The food hit the floor, and so did every bit of air in my lungs. No one said a word. No one rushed to my side. Some looked away. A few laughed nervously. "And Ethan?" He didn't flinch. He just looked down at me like I was a stain on his perfect evening. "Please don't make a scene." "Mom," he whispered, voice low but sharp, "don't embarrass me." He never once turned to the woman who just erased me. Never once stood up for me. I walked out without saying a word. Not because I was weak, but because I knew if I opened my mouth, I'd never stop shaking. On the sidewalk, I sat in my car with my hands on the steering wheel, staring straight ahead. If you're watching this and you're a mother, have you ever had your own child treat you like a burden? Like your love was expected, but never respected? I'd really like to know. Not for sympathy, but because I need to believe I'm not the only one. That night, I didn't sleep. I just kept hearing that plate, seeing the look on his face, and asking myself, when did I become invisible to the boy I gave my life to? I didn't cry in the car. Not then. I sat there stiff as stone, my hands gripping the wheel like I was waiting for permission to move. But I couldn't drive. Not yet. The headlights from other cars passed me again and again, but I didn't blink. The Joan that raised Ethan, the woman who had always pushed through, she was gone. I drove home sometime after midnight. The street was quiet. The porch light still on. I'd left it glowing like I always did, like someone was still coming home to me. Inside, the air was still and cold. I didn't change clothes. I didn't clean the sauce off my blouse. I just sat at the kitchen table, the same place I used to help Ethan with his homework. The silence wasn't comforting. It was accusing. I looked around the room like it was the crime scene of a life. Framed pictures of birthdays, school graduations, even the first car I helped him buy. Smiling faces that once felt like proof I had done something right. But now, I wasn't sure. At 2:13 a.m. My phone buzzed. A message from Ethan. Mom, I didn't mean to upset you. Just don't make things worse. Give me space. Okay. No apology. No warmth. Just that, give me space. As if I'd been taking up too much of his life, too much of his peace. I stared at the screen and felt something break. Not loud, like a plate on the floor, but quiet and final. There are many kinds of grief. Losing a child to death is one thing, but losing one who's still alive, who chooses to forget you, that's a kind of death too. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat watching the light creep in from the window as dawn broke. That's when the real question started to haunt me. If I disappeared tomorrow, would Ethan even notice? Would he miss me? Or just feel relieved I was finally gone? And worse, was I the only one feeling this way? Because right then, I felt like no one on this earth could possibly understand what I had just lost. Not a house, not respect, but something much deeper, my place in the life I helped build. Sunday afternoon came like a wave I didn't see coming. I'd been drifting through the hours since that night. Numb, quiet, unsure of how to even exist anymore. I needed a distraction, something mindless. So I told myself I'd finally clean out the hall closet. It had been years, maybe decades. I pulled down old boxes, dusted off memories I'd almost forgotten. Ethan's baby shoes, a faded drawing of me with a crooked heart around it. Mommy's the best, it said. In crayon, I smiled. Then I nearly cried. One box was heavier than the rest. Mismatched paperwork, bank letters, mortgage documents. I was about to toss the whole thing, but something stopped me. There it was, the loan agreement. My name, Joan Keller, right next to Ethan's, co-borrower. The date, 5 years ago. The condo loan. Suddenly, it all came rushing back. The day he got denied. The look on his face. The way I'd said, don't worry. I'll sign it. I believe in you. The bank had warned me. If he can't pay, you're legally responsible. But I signed anyway, not out of duty, out of love. And I'd forgotten. I'd truly forgotten. Until now, I sat there at the kitchen table, the same table where I'd once braided Ethan's hair before kindergarten picture day, staring at that paper like it was a secret I'd kept even from myself. He thought I was just the woman who kept the lights on, a babysitter. But that piece of paper, that signature, wasn't just ink. It was proof that I hadn't just been present in his life. I'd built it, brick by brick, sacrifice by sacrifice. And somewhere along the way, I'd let myself believe I didn't matter, that maybe he was right, but not anymore. I didn't know what I was going to do next. I wasn't angry, not yet, but I felt something shift, like a door I'd closed long ago, finally creaked open. I didn't sleep that night, not because I was restless, but because I was thinking clearly. Maybe for the first time in years, the papers lay spread across the kitchen table. My name? My signature. The proof that I was never just a babysitter. And suddenly, I knew exactly what I needed to do. I didn't want revenge. I wasn't trying to hurt Ethan. I just wanted him to see me again. Not as someone clinging to his life, but as the woman who once gave him one. So I wrote a letter, not a dramatic one, just a simple, steady truth. Ethan, I've never asked you to thank me. I've never reminded you of what I've done. But now, I need you to remember something I forgot myself. I co-signed your mortgage. Without me, that condo wouldn't exist. And if I were to remove my name, the loan would be in default. That's not a threat, it's a fact. I'm not going to take your home, but I am going to take something back. My voice. You don't have to love me. You don't even have to like me. But you will respect me, and you will not erase me from your story. Mom! I folded the letter, tucked in a copy of the loan papers, and mailed it. No confrontation, no screaming. Just paper, truth, and my name delivered straight to his doorstep. Then I got in my car and drove across town to a tiny art studio I'd passed 100 times, but never entered. Inside, I signed up for a beginner watercolor class, paid in full. The woman behind the counter asked if I was starting a new hobby. No, I said, I'm starting a new page. That night, I made dinner just for me. I lit a candle. Not for romance, but for peace. And for the first time in a long time, I ate slowly, without fear of a phone call, without hoping someone would invite me over, because I realized something. I'd spent years trying to stay small to fit into someone else's life, but now I was quietly making room in my own. I never expected a reply. I mailed the letter on a Monday. By Friday, there was still no call, no knock at the door. And truthfully, I felt okay with that. Sometimes you don't write letters for the person you send them to. Sometimes you write them for the woman you forgot you were. So I kept going. I went to my watercolor class, bought myself a soft green sweater I once thought was too much, started taking walks by the lake every morning. People smiled. I smiled back. Then one Saturday, late afternoon, I heard footsteps on the porch. I opened the door, and there he was, Ethan, alone. No girlfriend, no smug look, just him, holding a manila folder in one hand. Hi, Mom. He looked tired. Not physically. Soul tired. The kind of tired you get when the truth starts to peel back the lies you've wrapped around it. He handed me the folder. I talked to the bank, he said quietly. I refinance. I removed your name. It's in my name now. You're free of it. I took the folder, nodded. Good. He hesitated, his eyes scanning the doorway like he didn't know whether to come in or turn away. I read your letter, he said. And I remember now. I remember what you did. All of it. I said nothing. I didn't need to. I don't know if I'll ever deserve you, he added, voice tight. But I know now. I had a mother, a real one, and she didn't babysit. She built. He looked at me like a boy again, not a man with a mortgage and a career, but a child who'd lost his compass and had just found north. I stepped aside, let him in. We didn't hug. We didn't cry. He sat at the kitchen table, the one where he once learned to write his name. I poured us both tea. We drank in silence. Later. When he left, he turned on the porch and said, You didn't yell. You didn't guilt trip me. You just told the truth. And I heard it. Thank you. I didn't need anything more. I didn't need flowers, or a speech, or a sobbing apology. What I got was better, a quiet acknowledgement, a silent return, and a door finally opened from the other side. And if you're still with me at this point, I want to ask you something. Have you ever been made to feel invisible in your own family? Have you ever stayed silent just to keep the peace? Tell me. I'll read every single comment. Because this story, it may be mine, but I know I'm not the only one. And maybe, just maybe, it's time we all took our voices back.